Alright, so I'm a lifelong iPhone user that recently switched to the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. It's been about 45 days. It's been like 42, 40 days, something like that, but we're just rounding it up. It's been about 45 days because it has been a little over a month now. So let's go ahead and get into my thoughts of the Galaxy S25 Ultra. We'll talk about some of my likes, some of my dislikes, what it was like switching, and just my general experience as a lifelong iPhone user who switched completely to the S25 Ultra. So let's talk about the very beginning. So I had a pretty weird pre-order experience. If you guys want to see that, I'll show you my 1 week later video. I'll leave that at the end of this one. That way you guys can check it out. But there's a few things that I wasn't a huge fan of, a few things that I was. Now, something I wasn't really a fan of is that they have exclusive colors for the S25 Ultra only on Samsung's site. I don't really like that. I wish they would allow all colors on all different platforms, whether you buy it from your carrier, from Best Buy, from Samsung, doesn't matter where. I do wish that they had all of the devices and all of the colors available. Now, I was really happy that number one, I was able to get a storage upgrade, so I got the 512 instead of the 256 for the same price. And number two, those trade-in values were really, really good. I ended up trading in like an S21, Galaxy S21 that I ended up buying for like 75 bucks. I think they gave me $200 or $300 for it, probably 200 bucks. So a little bit of a win there. And I was a fan of getting that extra credit. So I actually ended up getting my S25 Ultra with Samsung Care, and I only paid like 30 bucks for Samsung Care for the entire 2 years. So that was really cool about that there. So that's just kind of my pre-order experience. Now, before, when I made my 1 week later video, I wasn't going to switch. My first impressions video, all that, I wasn't planning on switching. But I kept kind of feeling pressured with it because I kept using the device. I was enjoying it so much, and I was like, you know what? I've never tried it. I'm a tech head. I love tech. I love all the latest and greatest. So I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and bite the bullet and switch to the S25 Ultra. I was just a little scared with my workflow. I wanted to make sure all the things were working. My messages would get through. Everything would be just fine. Because of my job, I use my phone a lot for work, so I needed to make sure there was no issues. And just all this time later, I am so happy I ended up switching to the S25 Ultra. We'll talk about whether I'm switching back to the iPhone later on in the video. I promise I will let you guys know about that. But for right now, let's talk about the device itself. So starting with the hardware, kind of same thing that I've said in the previous video. I absolutely love the way this feels. Now, I always use a case with it. I am using a tempered glass screen protector, but just the feeling of this phone in the hand, it feels super premium. I love the sharp edges. I think it looks really nice and modern. I'm glad that the corners aren't sharp anymore, that they're rounded, so it's actually comfortable holding it in your hand like this. And all around, this thing just feels really, really good. Now with the hardware also, I love the placement of the buttons. That's just one thing that I really love is how the buttons are up here on the top. So when you are watching content, you don't have to worry about resting the phone on the volume up and down buttons or resting the phone on the power button because it's all on the same side. So just quickly with that hardware, that is something I really, really like. Of course, I enjoy the S Pen, which we will talk about that in a little bit. Now, when it comes to the just general feeling of the S25 Ultra in the hand, I'm somebody, like I said, I came from the 16 Pro Max, and even though these two screen sizes are the same, this phone is on, by the way, it's just the always on display is off, but even though the two screens are the same exact size, the S25 Ultra just feels a little bit bigger because of the squared off design. So I really love that. It's actually very nice, and it feels like you're getting more screen real estate when it's actually the same size. So I really love the way that that looks and the way that it feels. But let's talk about getting into the phone. So as soon as you open it up, you are going to have your fingerprint scanner, and it works perfectly every single time. I don't even have to turn on the screen at this point. I can just do that, and I know you guys see the little fingerprint right there, so I'm just gonna wipe that off real quick just to show you guys that it's really actually that accurate. So I'm just gonna put my phone right here, and after a little while, you do end up getting used to exactly where that fingerprint sensor is, so you can just pick the phone up and not even worry about it, immediately unlock it. Now, it also has face unlock, which is really nice. It's very responsive, as you guys can see. I just go ahead, look at it real quick. It is unlocked right there. Everything works just fine, but when it comes to the face unlock specifically, it only works in almost ideal environments. So if you're wearing sunglasses, if you wear a hat, if you wear a face mask, anything like that, the face unlock, kind of useless. Also in dark environments, when you're laying in the bed, unless your screen brightness is all the way up, this is not going to recognize your face, which is a downside, of course, because coming from an iPhone, Face ID works all the time. Glasses, no glasses. Beard, no beard. You know, hat, no hat. Whatever. Dark, light, inside, outside, doesn't matter. It always works. So that's one of the downsides when it comes to that. But you have that fingerprint scanner, and that's going to work every single time. And I really love that. Now, when you are using the phone with the fingerprint scanner, if you want to put on a screen protector, you want to make sure you re-register those fingerprints just so everything works really well. Once you do that, it's almost as if you don't have anything on the screen. The fingerprint scanner is going to work just fine. Now, once you're into that phone, just looking at the display, this thing is beautiful. I know you guys see all my apps and all that stuff. It looks just like an iPhone, you know. I haven't organized all that. I don't have time for all those things. I just want to use my phone. I actually productively use my phone all the time. Oh, didn't work there for a second, but there we go. I use my phone all the time, and this layout just works really well for me. Now, I know you guys see the custom icon pack. That is the Line X icon pack, but I'm not using a launcher. Again, we'll talk about that. But when it comes to that display, the Quad HD, that's something you, first of all, definitely want to make sure you go to. So you're going to do that. You're going to go into settings, your display, and then you want to go into screen resolutions. And you definitely want to make sure, I don't know why that's on HD, you definitely want to make sure you get on Quad HD. I must have just changed that to show you guys in here. But I've been absolutely keeping it on Quad HD Plus. This display is absolutely beautiful. And speaking of that display, you're going to get really good brightness and dim settings on the S25 Ultra. You're going to get up to 2600 nits. So if we go up to the top right-hand corner and turn the brightness all the way up, just look at how beautiful that display is. I don't even know if the camera's doing it justice. I mean, this thing looks, it almost looks like you're watching a movie just because of how good this display looks. The resolution, the brightness of it is really good. And then also coming from an iPhone, the minimal brightness of this thing, you can't even tell the screen is on right now. I can see it because, you know, I can see that through here back from the back of the camera, but it's like almost impossible for you to see how dim this thing gets on camera because, let me go ahead and turn it up real quick just so you guys can see it a little bit better. But at night, this thing gets so dim, and it's perfect because one thing that I've always kind of struggled with the iPhone is I'm sort of a light sleeper. So in the middle of the night, if I look at my phone, even on the super dim setting, it's pretty bright. Not with the Ultra. This thing gets unbelievably dim, so that way when you wake up at 3 a.m., you know, you got to use the bathroom or whatever you got to do, you can look at your phone real quick and not just be absolutely blinded by the display of the phone. And speaking of the display, let's actually go ahead and just check it out. Let's look at how that display looks and listen to those speakers, because this thing, I mean, it is just really good. So let's hear what this sounds like. So I had to find some royalty-free music and video, that way, you know, YouTube doesn't copyright this, demonetize the video or anything, but the speakers sound really good. They get louder and honestly sound a little bit better than the iPhone 16 Pro Max. And I mean, just that Quad HD display, you guys saw, I didn't really have any like really good video to show, but copyright video had a lot of different colors and vibrancy to it. The display, I just can't say enough good things about it. And that's kind of been one of the biggest reasons I've been on the S25 Ultra and loving it. And my main sim to this day, right now, is still in the S25 Ultra. Now, continuing on with the hardware, one thing about this is the temperature of the phone. This thing does not get hot whatsoever. I'm a power user of the phone. I put it through its paces all the time. I'm always doing something, whether it's messaging, emails, social media, responding to you guys on YouTube, all kinds of things. I'm signing documents on here with the S Pen, doing all types of stuff. I've never, even while charging, never had this thing get extremely hot on me or really even get warm when it's not charging, and just daily heavy use. So the temperature on this has been really, really good. The heat management, everything is just great. My iPhone gets warm sometimes when I'm using it kind of heavily doing the same exact tasks on here and even multitasking does not make this thing get warm. So I really love that. Now, I just spoke about the S Pen. That is one thing that I use very often. Maybe not everybody uses the S Pen, but I'm somebody who signs a bunch of documents on my phone. I'm always doing something. Let's go ahead and do a little, just a little note right here. We'll just draw a little bit, whatever. I don't know why that's so dim, man. Come on. I guess I wasn't really too prepared here, huh? Let's see. All right, that's better. So yeah, writing on this, I'm always signing a whole bunch of different things, doing whatever I got to do, and this S Pen is really nice to have. Normally, when I'm using my iPhone, I got to go get my iPad Pro, got to grab the Apple Pencil, make sure that's charged, sign whatever, send it off. The S25 Ultra, the pen's right there. You just pull it out, boom, sign whatever you need to sign, and you are good to go. So, one thing about the S Pen that I don't like is that they took away the Bluetooth functionality. I used that before. I had an S22 Ultra for a little while, and I used that a lot. I really miss being able to set my phone somewhere and use this to take pictures. Or, I don't know about you guys, but I like to watch some content while I eat lunch, whatever. I put my phone up on the little stand that I have, and I used to use the S Pen when I had the S22 Ultra for a little bit. I used to use that and just use it to move across videos. I'd watch watch whatever video, swipe to the next one, swipe back, swipe to the next one, do whatever you got to do. And that was really nice. I didn't use the S22 Ultra as a main phone. I had it as a little side piece playing around with it, but that was great, and I really miss that with the S25 Ultra. So Samsung, if you guys stumble across this video, please bring the Bluetooth S Pen back, or even release one that you can buy afterwards for a reasonable price. Don't make it too expensive, but release one that we can buy if we really want that S Pen, the Bluetooth S Pen, and that way we can use it with our S25 Ultra. Next, when it comes to the hardware, and this isn't really an issue with Samsung itself or with this device, but there aren't really a lot of good accessories for this phone, which I know that's kind of the Android market, but I love to see good quality leather, silicone, aramid fiber cases, whether they're super minimal or very protective. I like to see all different kinds of options, and unfortunately, like for example, I can't find a really good full grain leather case still for the S25 Ultra, which really sucks because I'm a huge fan of leather cases. As you guys know, I have an accessory channel. I review all types of cases, all different kinds of screen protectors, and these accessories, those accessories. And one thing that I've been looking for constantly is a leather case, and I haven't been able to find it. Same thing with a lot of these other cases that I really like to keep in my rotation with the iPhone. Unfortunately, that's not really a possibility when it comes to the S25 Ultra. There are some good accessories out there for sure, but not nearly as much as it is for the iPhone, which, like I said, it's not really a Samsung issue. It's more of the Android market for these accessory brands, but that's something that I really don't like. And then finally, when it comes to the hardware of this device, one thing that I've loved recently is reverse wireless charging. So the other day, actually, perfect example for this video, I was getting ready to get on a meeting. So I grabbed my AirPods. I still use AirPods with the S25 Ultra because mainly I just use them for phone calls and stuff. So I don't really care about all the extra features when it comes to, at least with the S25 Ultra. With the iPhone, they're all cool. But when it comes to the Ultra, I just want my music to play through it. I want phone calls to play through it, stuff like that. Everything else is kind of whatever when it comes to this, at least. But I noticed my AirPods were actually dead. So reverse wireless charge, I turned that on. I put them on there for about 10 minutes, and that let me use my AirPods for a nice long meeting that I had over the phone, and that was really, really handy. I actually didn't have another charger with me that I could plug my AirPods with, which that sucks that the iPhone doesn't have that, because that was a real, I never really thought I would use reverse wireless charging. I thought it was a gimmick until I needed it. And when I needed it, it came through so well, and I was extremely impressed with it. So that's another thing about the hardware that I really, really love. And speaking of charging, let's get into the battery and charging on this phone. So with the battery, some people have said it's not that great. Others said that it's been really good. And for me, it's been really good. So I actually have the other day pulled up here. So I was able to get with 96% battery usage. So all the way down towards the end of the day, I was on about 4% before I charged it. I was able to get 6 hours and 10 minutes of screen on time and 10 hours, 26 minutes of screen off time. So, like I said, when I use my phone, I use my phone. Those 6 hours, that was pretty good. I usually wake up, I should say, at around 5:30 a.m. Take my phone off the charger, and I use my phone all day. I go to bed around 9:30, 10 o'clock, but I'm scrolling in the bed till like 10:30. So, from 5:30 a.m. till 10:30 p.m., The phone was good. I don't wirelessly charge it during the day. I don't plug it in the car because I use it wirelessly in the car, all that stuff. So I was able to get it just fine. I'm not somebody who cares about my phone lasting into the next day, all that, because I know for me at least, realistically, it's not a possibility. I use my phone too much for something like that. So as long as it gets me from when I wake up to when I'm at least winding down at night, chilling on the couch or whatever, I'm by a computer, something where I don't necessarily need the phone the entire time, or I'm just watching TV, or even getting in the bed, everything is just fine when it comes to the battery with this phone. It's been lasting me every day. There hasn't been a single day where I had to actually go in at 7 p.m. or 6 p.m., plug it up real quick, get some extra juice before the rest of my evening. No. 9 o'clock, whatever, I'm down to about 15%, 10%, something like that. And that's enough for me to go get in bed, scroll around on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, reply to a few YouTube comments and emails, put the phone down and pass out. So that's been just fine for me. I don't really need, like I said, getting the phone for 2-3 days, all that. I use my phone too much for that. So no matter really how good the battery is, that probably wouldn't be a realistic thing for me. So let's talk about the charging. The charging is where I'm a little bit disappointed. Samsung used to kind of have a little bit of faster charging. Well, now they support Qi 2, which number one, no Qi 2 magnets. Don't really understand why, but it is charges with Qi 2 charging speeds. So wirelessly charging, this thing will give you 15 watts of wireless charging with Qi 2, which kind of surprised me considering even the iPhone, which if you guys know, Apple is always late behind everything. And I can say that as a lifelong Apple user. Apple's always slow to adopt stuff. Well, even Apple has faster wireless charging with Qi 2. So come on, guys. Samsung, I want to see 20, 25, 30 watts wireless charging with this. I'm realistic. I know some phones go even higher. And then the wired charging has been just fine for me. I believe it gives you like 40 or 45 watts or something like that. Plenty enough for me. I don't really ever plug my phone in anyways, but even if I did, whatever, that's fine for me. I know there's like the One Plus that gives you a whole bunch of faster charging and all that. It charges really quickly. Whatever, for me, it's not the biggest deal in the world. I more so care about the wireless charging, and I want to get a little bit faster wireless charging speeds with that. So that's something I'm a little bit disappointed about. Plus, they didn't include the magnets on there, which would allow you to use all of these crazy and great MagSafe accessories. You got battery packs, you have wallets, you have phone stands, you have car chargers, nightstand chargers, all different type of stuff, which I use, cases for the S25 Ultra. All of them have to have MagSafe. Every case needs MagSafe. I use those, so it's really not a big deal. But that is just something that I wanted to note about the battery and the charging. Now that we've talked about hardware, battery, all that, let's get into the software. And one thing about this phone is that One UI is really, really smooth. This thing kind of reminds me of using an iPhone a little bit, but it's even smoother. So one thing about my 16 Pro Max is, I don't know if you guys saw some of those tests before, but apparently they were saying that the 16 Pro Max only reaches up to like 80 or 90 hertz of the display refresh rate. And when you bring the 16 Pro Max over, which let me just go ahead and do that. Why not, right? So let's bring over the 16 Pro Max and let's see. So just swiping back and forth, I mean, even on here, the S25 Ultra is smoother. Let's go here just so you guys can see, like, I don't even know if the camera's going to pick all that up as fast as I'm going, but this thing is so smooth. I haven't had any lagging whatsoever. Not one single time. Like, even my app drawer, everything, which by the way, I did do this on Good Lock. I was able to do that without a launcher. But yeah, everything is just fine. But then it'll come to the iPhone here, and you can see that it's even a little bit different. Just take a look at that. The S25 Ultra is a little bit faster. Now that really is something that you notice a lot more when it comes to scrolling on long web pages or anything like that. But either way, the S25 Ultra is just so responsive, so smooth. They knocked it out of the park with One UI. I mean, a lot of it actually has similarities to iOS. For example, when you swipe down, you get your notifications. Over here, swiping from the right, you get your control center or whatever Samsung calls it. But either way, everything on there is just fine, and it works really well. I actually kind of like some of these designs they took from Apple just because it makes it a little bit more familiar for somebody like me going over to Android and switching things up. But of course, you can get launchers, you can get all these different kinds of customizations that'll change all that stuff up. So you have a plethora of options when it comes to making this phone literally your own. But let's talk about that always on display. Now, I love it. It's super concise. I don't have any notifications right now, but you can see your battery percentage there. You can see the date. You have widgets over here, all that fun stuff. Oh, there you guys see a little notification came through. I love that you can see all that without tapping your phone, without opening it up, and they will pop up here as well, which is really nice. And of course, you get your now bar right there. So that's going to show you your music player and things. So if you're just, you have your phone laying down here, you can hit next, previous song, play, pause, all without picking up your phone and unlocking it. So I really love the always on display, love how customizable it is, what you can do to it, especially with different things like Good Lock and other launchers. Now let's talk about the universal swipe gestures, which is something that probably one of my absolute favorite features about this phone. When it comes to the software, I love that you can swipe from anywhere and you can go back, you can do all different kinds of things. And even with something like Good Lock, you can make it so you have diagonal swipe gestures. There's so many different options. So for example, here I am on Verizon's website, right? I can just go ahead and swipe back. There I was on Samsung. Go back, there's Apple's site. Go back, there's Google. And you have all different kinds of these swipe gestures. You can, swipe up that way, whatever. And if you want to swipe up all the way from the bottom, you can go ahead and bring up your credit cards, all that stuff. So the swipe gestures are really, really good. You can bring up your apps, recently used apps. So let's go ahead and do something like that. And I mean, just look at that. I haven't closed apps in forever because there's really no need to. The phone doesn't stutter at all. I mean, look at how many apps I have open here. And that just kind of goes back to how good this software is. I mean, look at that. You have it's not even lagging. I'm just so impressed with how far Samsung has come. I remember, previous years, few years ago, years back, you pick up a Samsung phone and it was kind of trash. Like it would lag, it would stutter, it would hiccup, it would die all the time. All that, you'd have to constantly close your apps, do RAM management. I haven't done any of that. All I do every once in a while, maybe once every week or 2 weeks, hit close all, and there you go. So huge benefit right there. One UI is just so smooth, works so well, and I'm honestly impressed. And that's one of the huge reasons why I have not switched back to my iPhone. I haven't really seen too much of a need, but that's just a little sneak peek. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Next, we have the multitasking, which, oh my goodness, I don't know where this was before, but as an iPhone user, what is your multitasking? You can swipe from one app to the other. Cool. On here, the two apps, one on top, one on bottom. Oh, that's so nice. So let's just go ahead and check something out real quick. So why don't we open up, let's see what I can open up without revealing anything crazy. Let's go here, right? Boom. All right, so we'll do that. And then let's go ahead and go to, I don't know, let's do our Play Store, right? So what we can do is we can go ahead and do that. We'll hold this one, and there you go. Your two most recently used apps are right there. So here's my Play Store. Here's my YouTube feed, right? Oh, I don't know why I'm off center. Here's my YouTube feed. Got plenty of different options. And look at that. I mean, you've got all different kinds of things you can do, right? So I can tap here, boom, switch them back and forth. Now I have YouTube here, Play Store right there. And if I want to, I can just swipe it right back down and keep going. No lag, no muss, no fuss, none of that. Everything is really good. So the multitasking, when it comes to just doing actual productivity, there's a lot of times where I need to be looking something up while I'm typing an email or something. So what I'll do is I'll put Chrome on the top half, my Outlook on the bottom half, or Gmail app, whatever, and I can do real multitasking on here. And that's just something that has blown my mind. I use it a lot more than I really thought I ever would. I thought I'd just do it, for the review, sitting there playing around a couple times. No, real life, I actually use the multitasking. Now let's get to a few dislikes that I've had with the software specifically. So number one, I've noticed that some apps just don't work as well on the Ultra as they do on the iPhone. Maybe that's just on Android. But for example, the Amazon app, Twitter, and Snapchat. Amazon app works pretty much 100%. It's just a little bit laggy every once in a while. Then moving on to Twitter, I've just noticed that oftentimes, and this is a Twitter issue, I'm sure, but oftentimes like my bar will disappear. Certain other features will disappear where I gotta kind of close out of the app and all that. But that's not a huge deal. Then moving on, you got Snapchat, which Snapchat is probably the worst app on the S25 Ultra. It's pretty laggy, pretty bad. But All of my other apps work just fine. Another thing I'm not a huge fan of is the doubles of apps. So Samsung has like a whole bunch of different apps that Google already has, and I never know like which one should I use. For example, I use Samsung Wallet, Samsung Pay on my phone, but Google Pay for online. Whereas like an Apple user, you can use Apple Pay on the phone, on the websites, whatever supported in apps. So that's one thing. Calendar is another thing. Like Samsung has a calendar, then Google has calendar. Those app stores, Samsung has a Play Store or an App Store, Google has an App Store. So just all that, I don't know why they have so many of them. I would just like to see, honestly, all Google apps. Samsung, you guys got to get rid of your apps. Most of them don't work as well as the Google apps do anyways. Plus, Google apps work on all different devices. So that's just a huge thing that I kind of wasn't really a fan of at the beginning. I didn't really understand up until I started doing some research and testing them out of which apps are actually better to use from Samsung and which apps are actually better to use from Google. Next, the typing experience. When it comes to the Samsung keyboard, the first thing after putting all your information there, you're going to want to go to your App Store, your Play Store, and you're going to want to download Gboard because Samsung keyboard is trash. You want Gboard. Gboard is so much better, so much more convenient. Next, I was trying to switch my sound for my text messages or my messages, whatever, apart from all my other apps. And I actually had to go and watch a YouTube video how to do it. Now, shout out to, I believe his name is Jeff Springer. He made an excellent video on exactly how to go about doing it. I'll try to leave that in the description below of this video. But I had to watch his video on how to do it, and I finally figured it out. Samsung makes it really hard, actually, to switch different sounds from, like, let's say I want my messages to be a different sound than all of the other sounds. I had to watch that video and really figure out which settings to turn on, what to do, all the different steps. There's a bunch of different steps just to change that sound. So I'd love to see that just in the sounds menu. Nothing crazy, kind of like how it is on iPhone. You go, change your messages sound to this, and that's it. You forget it. On the Ultra, I had to go into this setting, change this, turn that off. It was just a little bit of a hassle. But good news about YouTube is you can find whatever you want on there, and I was able to watch his video and do that for myself. And finally, let's talk about Samsung DeX. I never thought I'd use that, but I recently tried it out. My wife and I, we were sitting in the living room on the couch. I have a nice big TV in there, and we were comparing some prices on a few things. So I did DeX on the phone, put it right up on the TV, and was using it almost like a computer, and that worked really well. You got the trackpad here, use the keyboard right on there on the phone, and you can look at other stuff, and it doesn't interrupt what's on the screen, so that's really good there. But I don't think Samsung DeX is going to be a replacement for a real computer or anything along those sorts. But when you need it, it's a great, great alternative to a computer. Now, speaking of software, let's get into some AI. Now, I'm not somebody who uses a lot of AI. A few different things that are on there, I never touched at all because they're just not my thing. But there are a few that I have been using. Number one is Circle to Search. I love Circle to Search. I have used it so many times just looking for something. I see something that I want and boom, I just hold it down. Let's check it out real quick. Let's go ahead and go into our Google Now bar. Now there we go. The Capitals were playing yesterday. Huge Capitals fan. Let's go Caps. But anyways, let's go ahead and find something here. Right, let's go and let's see. Okay, here, this Bose speaker, right, from Phone Arena. So let's go here. What we'll do is we'll actually just hold that down just to see. Come on, Samsung, don't fail me now. Let's go. All right, so it took that picture, and let's see. Now it's going to give me that exact option that's sitting right there. I can go here, right, scroll down, and let's see where I can find it. Okay, Best Buy's got it for $329.99. Bose has it for $329. Walmart's got it for $299. And, so you got a whole bunch of different options with that. If you like something you see, go ahead and search for it. Let's go ahead and go back and do something else just because this one kind of didn't really work too well. Let's find something else here. Let's go into our Now bar, or into our Google feed, I should say. And let's see, whatever. Let's find something here. Come on now. All right, The Traders. Cool. That's a show, whatever. Let's go ahead and circle that, and let's just see what that is. So it's going to show you other stuff that's like reviews, similar stuff to that, kind of stuff about the seasons, different other movies and TV shows that people might like. So anyways, all that, not to waste too much time, Circle to Search is amazing. It comes in handy all the time, especially when you see something, you really want to find out more information about it or what it is in general. There it is. You have it right there at your disposal. Next, Google Gemini is great. The only thing about it is it's a little bit slow to get ready to act on it, but it can tell you so many different things. Now, I know there's ChatGPT and all different kinds of stuff, but I love that it's just built right in here, nice and clean. So let's actually check out. One thing is about me, I'm a huge cologne person. I have a really big cologne collection, and I like to have different colognes for like winter, summer, fall, spring, daytime, nighttime, all that. And let's see what Gemini will say about a specific cologne. So let's see. Is Aventus Creed a winter or a summer fragrance?
Creed Aventus is quite versatile, which is part of its broad appeal. Here's a breakdown of why.
So basically, it's going to tell you about all that, but let's go in here and see. Factors to consider, right? Individual preferences play a significant role. Some people prefer lighter, fresher, whatever. So warmer ones for the winter, right? So it's going to just tell you all about that cologne or whatever the other object is or item that you're talking about, the other topic, and it'll tell you exactly about it. So that's really nice to see. Now let's just be a little self-centered here, and let's actually go right in there into conversation mode, and let's ask, Gemini, tell me about Brian's Tech on YouTube.
I couldn't find a YouTube channel called Brian's Tech. There are a couple of channels with similar names though. There's Brian's Tech Therapy, where Brian helps people with their tech questions, and there's also Brian's Tech, where he reviews tech accessories. Is either of those what you're looking for?
Brian's Tech.
Okay, so there's a YouTube channel called Brian's Tech, where he reviews tech accessories. He mostly focuses on stuff for everyday use. Does that sound right?
Yes. So either way, it'll tell you more information if you want and all that. Not sure why Gemini didn't recognize me. Hello, Google, do you not know? Brian's Tech, come on, get up to it. But either way, this thing is just great with it. AI, Gemini is really good. But like I said, it's just a little bit slow. But I've asked it all types of questions, thrown so much at it, and it has been really good for me. Now, there's object eraser when you take a picture. I know you guys have seen all these different tweets and Instagram pictures going viral, people erase stuff. It actually works really, really well. I don't have a great picture of it, unfortunately, but I've seen a lot of other channels and a lot of other posts covering it. And compared to iPhone, night and day difference. So those are the only few things that I use. The rest of it is, kind of can miss me with it. But at least some of the AI stuff works on here, unlike Apple, which promises AI for so long, and now it's like delayed till next year or something. So it's actually here. It really does work, and they don't make you wait forever for it to come into your phone after selling you the phone. Only thing I don't like, though, is that they are going to start charging for it, I believe, after 2025. So it is what it is, I guess. If you really use it, you might have to pay for it. Now, one other thing is just that this now bar is kind of trash. It doesn't really tell you too much about it here, just the weather. I have all these different things turned on for it, but unfortunately, all it's kind of been telling me lately is just the sports scores and just that little midday brief there, and of course, music. But I would like to see that be included more and more stuff actually using it, because I think it could be really, really useful for a lot of third-party apps. All right, so now let's talk about that camera. So this is kind of where I've been a little bit shocked and slightly disappointed with the S25 Ultra. So the camera, for the most part, is pretty good, right? All your point and shoot should be good for the most part. Low light is pretty good. The video quality is pretty good. Everything is pretty good, but it's not kind of where the Ultra used to be. So shutter lag is practically non-existent anymore. That used to be an issue with the Samsung devices. Now I'm pretty sure it seems like they've almost completely fixed it, if not completely. I've had zero issues with the shutter lag. Let me know if you guys have the Ultra down below. Do you have any issues with the shutter lag? But I've had absolutely none. But my issue comes kind of when it comes to focusing. So if you tap to focus on something, you'd think it would tap and focus on that specific item, but it seems to not really focus too well. I don't know if that's an issue specifically with my Ultra or if that's just an issue all around. I've kind of read some about it online, and seems like other people are having the issue as well. But I'll show you guys some pictures in a little bit. But when I tap to focus on something, it almost doesn't seem like it focuses on that. It more so focuses on some other stuff in the background, which is a little bit weird to me. But the pictures look good. They're not over-processed like they are on the iPhone with some of the pictures. The iPhone sometimes just makes the pictures look a little bit too edited, whereas on the Ultra, I've seen it looks a lot more realistic to real life without any extra crazy editing or over processing with the camera. So I really do like that. But let's take a look at some pictures and videos that I have taken. These aren't any crazy, like, you know, super fancy pictures or anything. I'm a regular user, at least when it comes to my phone. I know I'm a content creator. You know, I have cameras. I understand all of the different terminologies and all that stuff, as a lot of us content creators do, and us really camera people or tech people, we understand all the different pro features and all that stuff. But I'm looking at this entire thing as more so of a regular user, somebody like maybe you who goes and picks up the newest S25 Ultra, the newest Samsung device coming from an iPhone, and you want to know, maybe you don't know too much about cameras, maybe you don't know too much about good lighting or exposure or any of that other stuff. This is just more so a review or an experience of a regular user, somebody that would just pick up a phone and use it. So let's look at some of these pictures, and you guys let me know down in the comments what you think about them, some of the pictures and videos. Alright, so those were some of the little test pictures and videos that I took. I know you guys saw my little guy, my dog Louie. That's my little best friend right there. That's my guy. But either way, like I said, the camera will be just fine for everyday users, for people who are just buying this phone, picking it up, taking pictures of their kids, their dog, their food, you know, just walking around taking videos on vacation, whatever the case may be. It'll be good enough. All of today's smartphones, whether you're looking at the Samsung, the iPhone, OnePlus, Oppo, you know, all these different companies, Google, of course, how can you forget about the Google Pixel? All these different companies, the cameras are going to be good enough to an everyday user, for somebody who's not really nitpicking on everything. They're going to be just fine. You should feel pretty confident when you pick up this phone that it'll take good pictures, but this is just me kind of nitpicking on certain things that I've noticed, especially as somebody who kind of understands cameras and everything like that, understands photography, videography, but just reiterating with that point, as an everyday user, if that's you, you really won't notice too much of a difference. This camera is going to be just fine. Now, what do I miss about the iPhone? As a lifelong iPhone user, do I miss anything about the iPhone? And there's a few things that I do miss. Number one is FaceTime. FaceTime is something that I miss a lot. I have a young child. I have relatives. We all like to FaceTime sometimes to see the kid, whatever. And it's just, there's no good alternative. There's WhatsApp, I know. There's Google Meet, all these different things. The problem is most people, at least that I know, use iPhones. They don't have these extra apps. They don't have all this stuff. They just want to open their phone app or their FaceTime app or their Messages app, go ahead, hit, FaceTime and talk. And I've noticed that there's really no good alternative to FaceTime on the S25 Ultra. And even when using Google Meet or all these other things, the quality is just not as good as FaceTime. And that's something, just even as a regular person looking at it, if you are a regular person looking at that, that is something that you will notice, especially coming from the iPhone. The quality is just not there. The ease of use is just not there. Next, what I miss is being able to reply to messages. So when you're just texting somebody back and forth, especially somebody who's on an iPhone. On Android with RCS, you can. But if you're texting somebody from your Android to an iPhone, you can't reply to their messages, which sucks because, you know, if you have, let's say somebody sent you 3 or 4 messages, they sent you this, then this, then this, then this, maybe a picture. You want to reply to each individual message like, oh, I love that picture. I disagree with this message. Whatever you say, it doesn't matter. The problem is you cannot reply, which then you have to either write a really long message or send 10 and 15 different messages just to reply to each individual point that that person made that is texting you. So I do wish that, and I think this is an Apple issue actually, I really would love to see Apple allow that, but that's just an issue that I experienced going from iPhone to Android. And speaking of the messaging, I've noticed a lot of time texting somebody who has an iPhone, it keeps switching from RCS to SMS and MMS. So basically, if you want to send somebody a picture and it switches to SMS, MMS, the quality is way worse. Same thing with videos, way worse. And the messages, just you can't reply. You don't see, you know, reactions, any of that. When it's RCS, everything is beautiful. Everything is perfect. Works just fine. But a lot of time I see myself, it'll pop up on my Ultra and it'll say, you're texting somebody with SMS, MMS, even though I know for a fact I was just talking to them on RCS. So that is something, and again, it's probably an iPhone to Android, Android to iPhone issue, but that is something that I do miss about the iPhone is with iMessage. That's really the only thing with iMessage that I miss is it's just consistent. It would work every time. The pictures came out very well, videos came out very well, files came out very well. Everything was great. When you're talking with RCS, it's perfect, but when it switches for some reason to SMS or MMS, unfortunately, it's not. Next, what I miss is the easy integration between my devices. So, for example, I have a MacBook, I have an iPad, I have the iPhone, I have Apple TVs, the AirPods. All the integration is just too easy between all these devices. Everything works flawlessly, and that is something that I genuinely miss. But I have found a great alternative. If you are an iPhone user who uses AirDrop like I do, as a content creator, I use AirDrop all the time. Local Send. This is not sponsored, none of that. They're not paying me. They don't even know about me. But I discovered Local Send, and I cannot recommend it enough. It is almost exactly like AirDrop. You can get it on your Mac, your iPad, your iPhone, any of your Android devices, and it works seamlessly every single time. It works really well. I've been loving Local Send. Like I said, as a content creator, I use AirDrop all the time. Local Send has let me not skip a beat with that process. So, am I switching back to my iPhone? Am I going to do it today? Am I going to do it at all? To answer that question, today, no, I'm not. I'm going to continue using the Ultra. I love this phone so much. I'm going to continue using it, at least for the time being. Am I ever going to switch back to iPhone? Of course. I'm mainly an Apple channel. I'm trying to branch it out and all that, but mainly I'm an Apple channel, Apple accessories, the phone itself, all that. I mainly do Apple content, number one. Number two, I have that entire ecosystem. So yes, but right now, I'm not going anywhere. I'm with you guys, the Android, the Samsung Knights, as my dude Flossie loves to say, loves to call you guys. I'm with you. I'm on Android. I don't see myself leaving right now, at least anytime soon. Of course, I'll let you guys know when I do switch back over to the iPhone. I will still continue to make Samsung content if I do switch back over to the iPhone. But just right now, I'm absolutely loving my experience with the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. 45 days later, as an iPhone user, I can 100% recommend all of you guys who are out there watching on the fence to switch, take that plunge. It is a lot of fun, tons of customizations, and it really works well. You won't miss too many of those features. So yes, right now I'm chilling with this Ultra. I'm loving it. I'm going to keep using it. I'm going to go ahead and put my case back on it right now, and I'm going to go about my day with my main SIM on the S25 Ultra. But let me know what you guys think about all this. Do you guys want to see an annoyances video? So basically, what annoys me as an iPhone user switching over to the Galaxy S25 Ultra or over to Android in general? Let me know if you guys want to see that. If you're an iPhone user, let me know what's stopping you from switching over to the S25 Ultra or to any Android phone. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. That goes a very long way for me and allows me to make videos like this and consistent content for you guys. And if you guys want to see my 1 week later with the S25 Ultra, that gives some more opinions on certain things. I'll leave that video right there. If you guys want to see a great case, if you're new to the S25 Ultra and you're looking for a case, you want a great one, I'll leave that right there.